fight for God himself.
I think audiences are really entertained by big, epic action scenes because people just like watching swords slashing into bodies and great feats of strength. It's impossible for any of us to imagine what it's like to be a part of something like that.
I think epic battle scenes are entertaining to all of us because if we could get involved in them and not get hurt, we'd all want to be there.
The genesis of the Crusade sequence in the movie, when we had a cut of the movie, we actually felt that the audience wasn't relating to what these guys had been through on the Crusades and why the main character, played by Nick Cage, was so tortured by his experience in the Crusades. We also felt like we were lacking action. We needed somebody who could actually execute the action sequence itself. So we reached out to Vic and to Andy and got lucky.
When I first came on board Season of the Witch, they had this great medieval movie, but it needed spicing up, if you like. Crusades needed expanding.
We talked about methods of showing the Crusades in a very shortened, concise version.
We wanted to show the passage of time through the Crusades and show how they get wearier and wearier and embittered by the futility of war. It culminates when Nick Cage kills a young girl. So when you do try and recreate these battles, as I say, you do have to go back to the history books. You think about logic, what you would do in the battle.
Storyboards were a key part of the sequence because they're the first step in visually realizing an action sequence like the Crusades.
They'd be good indications to what we were talking about when we're saying we want our heroes to have a moment between them in the middle of all this mayhem, so they're good for those bullet points.
I'm building up a powerful thirst, Raymond. You're fine, my friend.
But there's something wonderful about going from a storyboard to then doing something with real people. We started shooting demonstration fights using literally plastic swords and flaming torches and turned the lights off in a warehouse and did battles.
They create these genius things called action-matics that actually let you preview what the action's going to look like once you shoot it with the stunt guys that are executing the stunts.
I try to recreate as much of an atmosphere as is going to be in the finished product as possible, is because little things come out of it that you don't know are going to come out of it. You know, it's cool seeing all the guys coming towards you in the sun and they're all squinting. You know, it's just a fact that you wouldn't put in a drawing, but it just happens when you do it for real.
Shooting these action-matics was such a bonus for us that we'd actually choreographed and rehearsed every moment of the 3 arc of time battles, from the sunlight to the snow to the night. We knew exactly what we needed to wipe frame. When we started shooting it, we could just seamlessly go from one to the other. Everybody knew exactly what they were doing.
It is sort of surprising to watch this videotape of guys in bandanas and t-shirts running around a parking lot in Los Angeles and then look at the finished movie and say, pretty close. It creates a great tool for interaction and evolution of the action series as they're refining the moves.
It's remarkable, actually, when I look at the stuff now, how much of those moves stayed in the movie.
When you choreograph a battle sequence, you have to get the characterization of each actor into it as best you can, as well as the other guys, the background action, if you like, and then the lesser background action. They all have to have their own little characters. But our 2 heroes, you want to invent moves that the moment the audience see it, even if it's in the middle and it's blurred by people fighting in foreground, you still see that signature moment.
For Ron was that he was going to be the kind of guy that crashes through something, gets hold of people, bear hugs them, crushes them. They're all power moves. We built the headbutt in because we thought that was a cool signature move that would be in each fight, and it pays off at the end with the demon, whereas Nick was going to play a character that was much more sort of fleet of foot, much more stylish, much more of a skilled fighter with much more sort of aerobic movements.
But at the same time, the underflow, if you like, is a proper, extreme, violent battle going on.
I think one of the things that makes these kind of scenes so successful in a movie is the different layers of action that are going on that contribute to creating the complete reality of the battle that's happening. This sequence was impossible without green screen. From a stunt team of 30, we ended up with shots that looked like it had thousands of people in them.
We don't want to fill the background in with just purely animated figures. So the last day we spent the whole day shooting little vignettes. The guys would shoot and shoot and shoot, fight and fight and fight, try and kill each other, then rush off, get changed again, come back, and we'd shoot lots and lots of different vignettes for the visual effects people to be able to take and flip directions and push into the background. So all those characters in the background are real people actually fighting.
The biggest challenge is really very few people for very big sequences in a very short time.
I want the audience to watch and go, wow, how did they do that?
I think the final scene came out really well. We set out to add this Crusades action sequence that gave you the impression and created the feeling of weariness and longevity. And I really think that in execution, it really accomplished it.
It doesn't matter whether you only had 30 people or 1 day or 20 days to shoot it. What matters is what's gone on the screen. That's all people judge it by. And I look at Season of the Witch Crusades, and I believe Ron Perlman and Nicolas Cage are actually in the middle of that battle fighting, and I think they're getting dirty, and I think I can smell the sweat, see the sweat on them, and I think they're really part of the story, and I'm quite proud of that.